What's going on, guys? Corey Sweargas here for Slap News, and this is the Strike Zone. It's going to be a weekly recap that we go over everything that took place in the world of slap fighting. I'm here with Big Jeeves. We are back in British Columbia, Canada, after taking in the week that was leading into Fight Week in Las Vegas for the historic Power Slap #1. Jeeves, how you doing, big guy?
Doing good, Corey. How's it going, Slap fans? We're back. Like he said, we're back in beautiful British Columbia. We're back from Vegas, and man, what a weekend. Power Slap 1 exceeded all expectations I think either of us had for what this weekend could have been or would have been.
Yeah, I mean, from the moment that we landed there, we went directly to the Fighter Hotel, went to the Homeboy Hotel.
The Homeboy Hotel, the Homeboy Hotel, we were there.
And we got going. I mean, we did 25 interviews pre-fight, and then we were able to do another 12 post-fight. So we did over 36 pieces of content while we were there in Vegas. But, you know, let's talk about overall what we're trying to do here. Obviously, we have a great passion for slap fighting. You know, we're here for the fighters. We're here to help grow the sport, you know, through and through. And so we're excited. You know, we appreciate everyone who's showing us love. I mean, we're blowing up on social right now, so we appreciate all that love, you know, both on, you know, TikTok, Instagram, as well as YouTube, so really great to see. Let's talk about the event itself, because it started off with an absolute bang. Robert Trujillo, you know, second round KO of Jules Scott. What a way to start the event. What did you think of that, Jeeves?
Like you said, what a way to start. Like, I don't think anybody in that building was in their seats after that slap from Robert Trujillo in the second round. You couldn't have asked for a better way to kick off Power Slap 1. I'm pretty sure UFC brass, everybody was super happy with that. And like I kept saying, like a great way to start the event, and then it just kept rolling after that. The hits kept rolling.
I mean, at the UFC Apex, there was maybe 250, 300 people max. You know, and that was the first time that the majority of them probably ever seen a slap in person actually take place. It was one of the coolest events ever. I kind of draw the parallel to it actually being on, like, you know, the 18th green of a golf course, where everybody is dead quiet when that person is about to, you know, putt. It was the same thing. Like, everybody was dead quiet in that building before the slap happens. And then, you know, in the second round, when Robert hit Jewel, the crowd erupted almost instantly. And if you haven't seen it in person, let me tell you, when you hear that slap in person, I don't know how they have the stage mic'd up, but when that slap happens, it is electric. It literally sounds like a shin kick to the head, you know, being there in person. Great way, obviously, for Robert to be able to start off the night and get that rocking. What was the second match for the night? Do you remember?
Second matchup was Travis against Reese.
Travis Aragon and Reese Archer.
Yeah.
You know, going back and looking at that, you know, looking at that particular matchup, what struck you the most in that?
The way it ended. Like, as combat sports fans, we always want to see the fight either go the distance or end definitively by TKO or ref stoppage, something like that. This fight ending the way it did, I'd like to see it again. I would love to see these two go at it again. I'd love to see Reese. I'd love to see Thomas fight again. Just
Travis.
because, Travis to fight again. Just because I think it just left a little bit to be said. You know what I mean? So I'd love to see that one again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the disqualifications that took place, I mean, we didn't, you know, it wasn't really the best display of slap fighting, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, there were stepping fouls on Reese, the flinching fouls that took place there. It really wasn't a, you know, quote unquote, you know, good representation of what the sport is. And I think with what that particular match could have been, I mean, Travis Aragon obviously was, you know, we didn't see a whole lot of him coming into the show, and it was kind of like because he wasn't, you know, in the road to the title, so we didn't get to see too much of him kind of leading into it. But I wanted to see the potential that he has. Seems to be a strong, you know, obviously MMA fighter. Wanted to see more potential with him. I'm almost certain he's going to get a chance back again. I mean, Reese talks the talk, and he wants to be the game changer, and I want to see him prove it up there on that stage. You know, he's had some wins, he's had some losses. The flinching stuff that happened there, I'm not sure what happened psychologically in his head.
It was a big event.
And kind of what was going on there was definitely the biggest stage that he was ever on. So not 100% sure kind of what went through his mind at that particular point. But just probably the weirdest match of the night.
I think so.
I think across
and
the board.
like you were saying, it wasn't a great show of what slap fighting could be, and I don't think either of the strikers are happy with it because I don't think it was a great show of their talents either.
Yeah.
So again, I'd love to see that match again. Hopefully we get a chance to. But yeah, it left a lot on the table, I think, for both strikers. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that match.
Third match, obviously, Andrew Provost.
Yeah.
Came in, which was actually a fill-in. Andrew, I believe, was a fill-in. Originally, that was supposed to be Paul Teague up against Alex Ashbury. And what a surprise! The underdog in Andrew Provost going up and getting the second round TKO victory.
Yeah, and as we saw through Road to the Title, Alex, he's got these long arms that give him a little bit of that whip at the end. And being an underdog, he definitely showed what he's hungry. He wants this.
Yeah.
Alex had some great strikes as well. Let's not take anything away from him. They were great strikes. But you live to fight. You live to strike another day. So let's see what happens with both of these strikers moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, in the social corners, I know Andrew Provost was taking some heat from other slap fighters and stuff like that. The way that he obviously broke his hand leading into it, so we didn't get to see the full talent on display that he had. Alex Ashbury being a Division I, football wide receiver.
Yep.
With the athleticism, grit and determination. Was a tough one for him. He got rocked pretty good. With his slaps, and it was actually interesting because he got hit very, very good. So definitely have to say that both fighters showed great grit. I think you're going to see Alex back. I think you're going to see Andrew still on contract, obviously. So I think you'll see those guys continue to push through. And then right after that, I mean, we had Dorian Perez and Frank Holland.
Yes.
Frank, one of the most decorated.
The Tank.
Frank the Tank, one of the most decorated fighters in slap fighting history, going up against Dorian Perez. An unfortunate incident kept Dorian out of the house. He ended up in a car accident, right before heading out to Vegas for the actual Road to the Title filming, which happened back at the end of November, early December. So we didn't get to see much of him. And he made the world know who he is now, the California Cowboy.
Yep.
People know who he is now with his striking that he did of Frank Holland. Unfortunately, Frank Holland is now, I believe, 0-2 in power slap.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens there. I know Frank has some desire to go back to Slap Fight Championship where he originally stared. So we'll see in the days and weeks to come whether he continues on with power slap or he makes his transition back to Slap Fight Championship. Closer to his hometown. But I think time will tell what ultimately happens there.
Yeah, with all these new, we'll get to this a little bit later, but with all these new approvals from athletic commissions happening, I think we're going to see that more. A lot of these guys being able to train at home, hone their skills a little bit better, and just come back bigger and better. And for him to have that win on his record against Frank the Tank, like this event was historic in more ways than one, just for the event itself, and then for a lot of these strikers. Like we'll see with some of the later cards, there was some outcomes that will definitely go down in slap fighting history, whether it's power slap, slap fight champ, anything like that. These were great strikes from a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's definitely a lot of historic moments that'll definitely be in play, where especially as these guys continue to evolve their legacy.
Yeah.
Russell Rivera, what a fight with Isaiah.
So, Slap News fans, this was one I was looking forward to because these boys are big, strong boys. We knew it was going to be a slugfest before we went in. We knew there was going to be some really hard shots thrown, and this was one of the ones where Corey kind of said, like, you could hear the slaps. These were one of the ones where we felt them. From where we were sitting in the room, you could feel these strikes happening. And shout out to Russell and Isaiah for putting on a great show for us, for the fans, for slap fighting in general.
No, absolutely. That's one of those groundbreaking fights. I think that it's still being talked about.
Yeah.
The entire island of Hawaii is really getting behind Russell, coming to the scene. I think we're seeing a big growth. So shout out to all the Hawaiian fans that are following us. We see you guys commenting, liking all of our posts. We appreciate you guys, through and through. And that fight was definitely one on the undercard that I think was one of the more memorable fights.
Yes.
For me of the entire undercard.
Likewise.
To make that happen.
Yeah.
After that, what do we have? We had Wesley Drain and Emmanuel Munez.
So this was the first one that actually went to like a full decision. We saw all the strikes. We saw what each striker had to offer in terms of being on this stage outside of the house, finally here. I think the judges called it
Yeah,
pretty fairly.
split decision.
Yeah, yeah.
It was split decision. Obviously both fighters had their moments, and they had their drawbacks in the road to the title series. So it was good to see that actually take place, and Wesley James pulling out the victory.
Pulling out the victory, and this goes for everybody saying, "Oh, slap fighting's short, it's boring, whatever." This one went the whole way. Watching them set up, recovery, everything. This was a great example of what a fight looks like. To see it all the way through, to watch these guys not only stand there and eat these shots, but right after deal them out. It was a great fight. I loved seeing this one to the end.
Yeah, and then the last fight on the undercard put Dwayne Crespo against Damien the Bell.
Damien the Bell. This was a big one. This was title fight caliber, but just the way the show worked out, the way everything worked out. This was the top of the undercards, and it was another great fight. We saw someone with a big background in combat sports who's kind of been training, who understands the more intricacies. And then we had someone who's a law student who just knows how to hit and understands the dynamics of slap fighting. And it was a great matchup. It was a great matchup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Damien had some experience from Slap Fight Championship.
Yes, that's
so
right.
That
Yep.
also played into into it, I think, as well. Dwayne was definitely the least experienced of the two fighters.
Yeah.
There was the rumor speculating that the winner of that match would get a title shot afterwards. So I think both of those athletes knew that going in.
Yeah.
That was going to be for the #1 contender spot. Leading into Power Slap #2, which I think is still going to be the case.
Yep.
Obviously, the Bell not being on the road to the title series, we didn't get to see his full, his full skill set displayed because he was one of the coaches.
Yes.
So we didn't see him fight. But if you watch some of his Slap Fight Championship stuff, you've seen that he has skills.
Yes.
Incredibly long arms, and that whip that he gets when
Yeah.
he slaps somebody, I think is pretty dangerous. So
Yeah.
it'd be great to see him, continue on here and have that championship matchup. I think it's destined, now at this point, that it's going to be him and Ron going toe to toe at Power Slap #2. So
the sensei versus the, you know what I mean? So it goes back to that. But
Totally.
it was a great fight to see. It was great for both of them. Now, me and Corey, we're big fans of slap, so we have a lot of conversations outside of just our work and our planning. And this match here, I think, were some of the longest conversations we ever had because of all these reasonings. We went back and forth on where this was going to go. So we were very happy with watching this match actually happen and getting to see, like you said, Damien ring some bells, you know? So.
Well, it was interesting because they had Dwayne was the Vegas, favorite in this match, and the Bell was the underdog. I think you and I debated this for probably a better part of 60 minutes. But what the outcome of this is actually going to be. And it was something that we ultimately didn't agree upon or didn't decide, or we actually knew what was going to happen. So it was one of those things from a betting line I think you definitely wanted to stay away from because, who knows what the ultimate outcome of that particular match was going to be.
Two heavy hands, big stage, big event. It literally could have went either way. Like they were both destined to win this match, and the Bell pulled it out at the end.
So I mean, after that, we had the 4 title matches, starting out at 170. We had Chris Thomas and Jesus Gaspar. Chris now moving to 6-0 with a decisive victory.
I guess he cemented that nickname in slap fighting history for him. KO Chris. I can't wait to see more from Chris. Defending that title is going to be a good show for him to see, you know what I mean? To make it true kind of thing. So
and I mean, both athletes had a ton of respect for each other. Obviously, Chris, post-interview viewed Jesus as a brother to him. And so great to see that. When you look back in real time, it was, it may have been a little deep, Chris's strike, but it took him out, and there's no way that Jesus was coming back from it regardless. And things happen so fast in real time. I think there's some merit to be said about coaches' challenges, about utilizing video review, especially on KOs. Should they be reviewing all the knockouts to validate and verify that they were fair blows? But I mean, Chris, brought the hammer, like you said, and delivered. Incredible performance. Great to see him. Small town guy from North Dakota, having the biggest opportunity of his life, cementing it, allowing him to turn to continue the perfect record and be that title holder. And you see in the emotion post-fight that he brought out was absolutely incredible to see that.
He did his whole lap of that ring, made sure everybody knew that I told you so, is I think what he was saying. But on the other hand, Jesus, great showing. Great showing for that boy to stand there and take that hit from KO Chris. And I've been seeing, Jesus, we follow each other on social media, I've been seeing you kind of like doubt yourself a little bit. Man, it was just the first one. You live to strike another day. You're gonna do great things, Jesus, and I can't wait to see your career rise, man. And you know Slap News will be here for you, so keep it going, buddy. Stay up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, congrats to KO Chris on that victory. After that was the 185er, where we were going to see Azael.
Azael, yeah, and John Davis.
And John Davis, of who the real 185er is at this current time. You know, that matchup there.
There was a lot of electricity going into this one from the strikers themselves. I do want to say, like, we experienced this firsthand. A lot of these guys, being that they're the first of the bunch in Power Slap, and they're the only ones that, you know, that were in the circle, the camaraderie between the guys was absolutely unreal. Like, seeing the family that they've built amongst themselves. But the electricity on this match going in between Azael and John Davis, it was bound to be a spectacle, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we interviewed both guys going into the fight before, and Azael had a ton of confidence going into it. And then we also had obviously John Davis, who was more kind of the calmer, cool cat.
Yes,
but
very composed.
Believed in himself, you know, in his abilities. And, you know, obviously John Davis hits like a Mack truck.
He does.
And pulled out that victory. So I think that was something that was, you know, very, very impressive, bringing it home for Ohio, you know, for his family there, being a welder, you know, as part of his day job. You know, working with his hands all the time, you know, lifting heavy steel and stuff. And it translated here today. I think that's one of the coolest things, is seeing guys who are, you know, regular middle of America, you know, middle income families, regular people get on the stage and be able to perform at an elite level.
I don't want to say regular people, I would say real people. Like there's these guys, like, we had such a great time with all of the strikers. Like, we felt like we were at home with family when we were with these guys, and you can tell the character of these guys. And like you're saying, John was a lot more calm, collected. Azael a little bit more fired up, loved every minute of it. And just seeing them finally step in front of each other and go at it, it was great. It was quite the show. And just to be clear, the last title fight and this one both ended in first round knockouts. Like these were real title fights. All these guys came to bang, and it was a show.
Yeah, I mean, even the third one did as well. Getting into 205 light heavyweight, probably the most anticipated match that people wanted to see.
Yes.
I mean, we obviously seen, you know, Darius, and we've seen Ron previously. You know, on 3 occasions, Darius becoming victorious, but we never seen, could Vern Cathy, the mechanic, going up against AJ Static Hints. What was actually going to happen in this matchup? I think everybody in the inner circles was talking about this matchup. And could AJ take that slap from Vern, which was deemed by Dana White to be one of the greatest slaps, you know, in power and slap fighting right now.
There's still footage we haven't seen from one of Vern's slaps like that.
For sure. And we've seen it because Vern struck first in this matchup. And you know, I got kind of chewed out a little bit in the comments when I interviewed Vern, and you know, Vern admitted that his strike was a little bit high, higher than he would have liked to have been on AJ. But AJ ate it like a champ.
Got right back up.
You know, got to the table. You know, was able to, you know, prove to the judges, you know, within 10 seconds that he was coherent and able and ready to go again.
He stabilized himself real quick, and he was good. Like, he shook that shit off real quick.
And then, you know, the slap, I think, that shocked the world. Static's coming in, first round, up against, you know, Vern Cathy. You know, AJ being the shorter guy, so there was a bit more of that upward trajectory. A lot of people are talking about AJ having small hands and being able to find the button easier. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I think
you
have to find that button. Whether you have big hands or you have small hands, you got to find that button, and he did. You know. Vern admitted as well that he was out for the first, you know, 3-4 seconds when he hit the ground.
Then he was doing scissor kicks, so he was all right after.
So great, I mean, I don't think people could have drew that up
No,
or would have speculated on it. Vern was a heavy favorite.
this
on the
was
Vegas
another
line.
one that got the entire room on their feet. Everybody around us. I think it drew the most visceral reaction out of me because I did not see this coming. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I didn't see that happening, right? So, yeah, I was blown away myself. That was a great fight.
Yeah, and then even the post-fight press conference, when AJ was sitting there up at the podium with the belt, there was the most interest in the media.
Yes.
They were engaged in this fight as well,
Yes.
and they wanted to see what was actually going to, transpire, and then get to know, AJ a little bit better. So I think that through and through just showed how much attention and interest was put into this fight.
Yes.
And then last but not least,
The big one, the big boys.
the coaches.
The coaches, yes.
We had Darius the Destroyer versus Ron Wolverine Beta. That particular match, I don't think anybody thought it was going to end the way that it did. Through the war of attrition, 27 rounds in their last matchup before being called by doctor, stoppage. To who would have ever thought that it was going to be a round one TKO?
TKO from one of the longest fights in slap history to possibly one of the shortest.
Yeah.
Happy for Ron though. He gets to, the Power Slap 1 was a new chapter in just slap fighting in general. And I'm happy for Ron, man. He gets to sort of write history his way now.
Yeah.
In the new wave of Power Slap, slap fighting in general. I'm happy for Ron. Good win on Ron, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at this though, of the title fights, we had Azael, we had obviously Vern striking first.
Vern striking first,
and then we had Darius strike first.
Yes.
So it shows you that some of that coin toss luck is actually coming out of.
Blew it right out of the water.
Coming out of that narrative being so paramount that's been circling around social.
Yep.
So, seeing that obviously Darius struck first, Ron ate it, which was great. And then Ron went on the offensive. And here was the interesting thing is not only did he shock the world, he shocked all of the other competitors.
Yes.
Because the strike that he applied to Darius was different than what he showed in his training and what he has shown in the past of how he striked.
Yes.
Even if you play it back, his two previous windups were at a different trajectory than the third.
Yep.
He came his normal kind of
Wind
low
up,
up and over, 1, 2, and then his third, he elevated his elbow placement, and it was almost like a baseball overhand pitch. That he hit Darius with. So the trajectory also changed. So he lined up 1, 2, and on 3, changed the entire pitch of the way he threw that slap, which changed the history for him after 3 times of Darius being victorious. For him to come through here
and end it
truly
so
astounding.
definitively.
And I mean, Darius was out of it. He was stumbling all over the place. And you can see the look and the disappointment, obviously, on Darius after that. Particular match. And, Ron, great guy. Obviously, we got to meet him, and his girlfriend afterwards in the casino and seeing the joy that they had overall.
It was great. That technique that Ron employed, I've watched so many different angles, so many different speeds of beautiful Ron. Just really just rang his bell in such a way, the I don't know if the right term is velocity or torque, but just that hand hitting Darius, it was devastating. It was actually devastating.
And I mean, recapping the entire event, like we said, truly historic, through and through. Dana White and all the brass at the UFC putting on an incredible production.
Let's talk about that for a second. For the first Power Slap ever, we got to see and hear how they were scrambling, maybe not scrambling, but on the way to Saturday, doing their test runs and getting everything set up. Great show, guys. I bet there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys aren't happy with yet, but from a consumer perspective, we had a great time. I'm sure the fans, we were working, but I'm sure the fans had a great time in the stands, and the show was very well put together. Efficiency, amazing. Everything kept rolling. It was a really well put together show from that side as well.
And even the live event on Rumble, in terms of getting all the footage of the fighters arriving to the venue. Playing it up just the same way the storytelling that took place in UFC. They implemented for these strikers. The sound, the lighting, the stage, everything that was set up was next level.
It was quite the production. It was a show. If you guys you're going to Vegas for a show, Dana White and the UFC and Power Slap are going to give you a show.
So let's just real quickly here before we end this one. going into Power Slap 2, obviously there's going to be a lot of speculation before these matches get taking place. There's some rumor right now of June being the second Power Slap event. We still don't know if the show is going to go on the road. Dana announced that, slap fighting has been legalized in 5 other jurisdictions throughout the United States. My intuition is it'll probably be back in Vegas again. They didn't actually sell tickets to this event. It was invite only. So I think you'll see it back in Vegas. I think you'll see them try to actually sell tickets, whether it's at the Apex or another venue within Las Vegas. I think that's where you're going to see it. I think you're going to see some very intriguing matchups through and through. I think we're going to see obviously the heavyweight title match between Ron and the Bell. I think is going to go down. I think AJ Hints and I think Russell will get a second shot.
I'd love to see Russell back.
Yeah.
Like he was saying in the post-fight press conference, he didn't really get too much time to train, so I can't see what Russell's going to look like after putting some time and dedication into this. Now he's, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see Russell come back as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. At the 170, we had Chris Thomas. It's very hard to say. I mean, I'm just looking at the other matchup was obviously Andrew Provost and Alex Ashbury. Is Andrew in line, to defend that title?
That'll be interesting. So Dana and they were mentioning that they might go on the road to Abu Dhabi and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see if international talent enters the pool now, right? Because that'll change up a lot for the current round of strikers. So let's see what happens on that front, right?
It's either that or maybe they can be a catchweight where Robert Trujillo and Chris Thomas meet. Ooh. Maybe they meet somewhere in the middle at a 165, 160 or something, 165.
Tell us in the comments if you guys want to see that matchup. That sounds, I would love to see
it. Absolutely. And then John Davis, obviously at the 185. What do we got here?
I definitely want to see John Davis again for sure. I think he has so much potential. Azrael too. I think so much potential in both of those guys. John, I think any opponent he takes will have something to reckon with when they step up against him.
Yeah, I can actually see him running that match back again, actually, because I'm not sure. I don't know who else is in line for that. I mean, obviously Wesley Drain won, Travis Aragon won.
Yeah.
I could see them running it back, to be honest with you. It's
how great rivalries are built. You just keep, like Ron and Darius, right? So I'd love to see some sort of like legacy rivalries built in Power Slap. And like we said, the guys are all really good friends. They're like a family, so we're not going to have to worry about it getting ugly or anything.
Yeah. All right, here we are. Strike Zone, coming to you weekly. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Vegas,
there
BC,
we go.
anywhere. Slap News, we're going to be everywhere.
We will be. All the best. Take care.